Hi everybody! So I did number 1, some energy healing for the world, interdimensional. I still don't know what the title of it is. I'm just calling it number 1 right now. And this is number 2, okay? Because I just did number 1 yesterday and now I'm doing number 2 already. The goal here is to share healing for the planet, healing for humanity. Interdimensional healing, okay? So the cross sections of all there is, was, and ever will be, what can I do to support making it a brighter environment as a collective, as a whole, is going to empower every single one of us individually. I feel that it's my calling. One thing Joe and I have been doing, we've been talking about what is the best use of our skills. If we're going to be posting videos on YouTube, what is the best information that we could provide the world? And something is guiding us in the direction of focusing on sharing healing, keeping the door open, sharing healing, sharing wisdom, and just letting it be guided by the flow. What is the flow? It's some sort of invisible and unknown, not logical, purely creative, therefore then logical as well. It's in everything, you know? I can't think it in order for myself to be a part of it. I can only go with it, you know? I feel inspired to do this number 2 because something happened. I was sitting in the car and Joseph was doing a video for his YouTube channel and he didn't know where the healing was going to guide him either. And at the end we were both surprised because I had anticipated I'd be guided more into a darker environment. He thought it would be a darker environment for him as well. But we were both guided into something that was profoundly about love, investigating, a sense of a story that becomes something so beautiful. It was about love, you know, timeless love even. Love that doesn't necessarily come with all the logic, but yet it does. But yet it is love. Love is so much more than just logic. It's this powerful sensation that you can't really deny it in your heart, you know? And as I was sitting there and he's doing this journey, I wasn't able to pay attention so much to his journey as I was pulled into my own journey state. And I wanted to make sure I said something about this because if you ever listen to one of my videos and it's hard to pay attention, just let yourself go with the flow, right? Just let yourself go. Let your mind wander. Let your thoughts guide you into a space. All of a sudden you might be talking to somebody in your imagination, or you might be crying about something unexplainable, or you might get pissed off for reasons unknown. That's part of the flow. And it's part of the interconnectedness of everything. So as much as I wanted to hear every word and every detail of his experience, I was getting pulled into this other space. And it was about family and healing and love and hugs and Mother Earth. And there's this really cool fountain that appeared. And Mother Earth was welcoming me to share with the fountain what was in my heart. And each idea that came to me turned into a coin. And I placed the coin into the fountain. And the fountain was part of the spirit of water and the spirit of Mother Earth and the spirit of birthing beautiful things into our world. And the energy was so beautiful. This is what I was inspired by as Joe's doing this journey. And his journey was tapping into an ancient energy from Egypt in the most unsuspecting way. It was pulling me into my own journey about love and this fountain and family and this connection. It was so beautiful. But then another thing happened. And I was pulled back into the journey I did, number 1. I'll put a link in the description if you want to check it out, if you hadn't gotten a chance to see it. And in that journey, I am guided to this man. And I don't really know how to understand who this man is. And everything happens for a reason. So it's on purpose. There's a reason why I don't know how to add up all the details. And all I can do is one step at a time and be completely honest about my experience and my translation of that experience. I don't choose to make assumptions about things. I want to have confidence in what I'm choosing to know at this time. And one thing I want to tell you guys, this word misinformation, I think about this word misinformation. If we were to say that a lie is also information, and we don't title it as misinformation, we can conquer this strange event that our society is going through, where we have to judge information. We have to judge the information. If a lie can still be valuable information, and it just so happens the lie plants a seed that guides us on a path in this direction, that if we would have known it differently, then we wouldn't have gone in that direction. Everything was divine about it. And if everything was divine about that lie, was it truly evil? Was it truly gross? Or was it part of the flow, you know? And to conquer misinformation, now we let go of this desperate need for logic as the only proof. Because what was before logic was creativity. And it was creative before it was logical. It only became logical because we choose to collectively adopt it as a foundation for the growth of our society. Then it became logical. But we're afraid to bend and create flexibility with logic, and that's when logic is dangerous. Now we're using these terms like misinformation, and it's creating this discomfort about communication. And so if we can just let it all go and go with the flow of the divine, doesn't matter. What matters is you know who you are and what feels right for you at this time, and we can love you for that. Or we can hate you for that. I mean, we all have the freedom to be. I choose to be self-aware. I choose to be the brightest that I know how to be, that I can be, the honest that I can be, because that feels right to me, okay? So I was pulled into, Joe's doing this journey, I'm sitting in the car, I got all this like positive vibes about Mother Earth and the fountain, all this love and this healing of the past and this healing just going on, and it was so beautiful. I was crying on the you guys don't see me in that video, but I'm crying on the other side. I'm like, this is so beautiful. I really want to focus on what Joe's saying, but I'm like in this other place. Well, I got pulled into that man, and this time he was sitting in the chair welcoming me to sit down in front of him. And I described this man that I visited in the first journey. And he asked me if I knew who he was. And I told him I don't know who he is. But he knew who I was. He knew who I was. And he said that he had been praying for help for a long time. Then I showed up. And he hadn't seen me in a long time. And this was really, really special. This was really meaningful for him. He showed me how the lines that I drew, I mentioned how I drew them from top to bottom, from ceiling to floor, but that the lines, they aren't necessarily associated with what we define as space. They're interdimensional. You show me that those lines were programmed with door. Basically, the lines kind of came together, like here's this line, here's this line, here's this line, here's this line. Well, they started to come together to create a door like this one, and then this line can connect with that line, and then that can create a door. And it started to open up a lot of interdimensional doors that they had been waiting to have access to, because they're waiting for the flow of information. And that's part of his passion and part of what he's trying to build here. And he guided me through a door, and he said this was really important. He showed me again another table very similar, where it just bows out in the center. It's like an oval shape, but it's cut at the ends, and it just bows out. And this room was a lot bigger than the last room. Same kind of table. A bunch of random people. I just call them random weirdos because they're just so random looking. I don't even know how to understand their appearances. So they're just all sitting at this table welcoming me in, and everybody's clapping because their prayers were answered. And that fountain with the coins are like prayers being answered. And we can't give up that our prayers are received and that our prayers are being answered. And one important thing that he told me was that while I expected to go to somewhere dark, to heal that dark energy, which I define as the infection, to heal the infection then heals the body, right? It helps everything feel better, come into balance. I'm always attracted to that. He said to go to the people who are ready to help, to make a difference, because those people who are ready to help are the ones that are going to shift it all. And so to help those who are ready to help. And he said that I came to help him who's ready to help. And one of the things, I don't know if I clarified in that journey completely, because it was asked if his intentions were good or not. And one thing I know about intentions energetically, they stink. They smell terrible. All right. So if the person I'm visiting stinks, then oftentimes they are part of the infection and they're part of the decay. Okay. So their passion then would not smell right. To be around them would make me want to vomit. To be around them would make me feel edgy or uncomfortable. It could be something inside myself, or it could be them, but I have to investigate it to translate it. So one of the things about this guy that I visited, there was no smell. It was fresh. Obviously I went through something of the cold before I was able to reach the small room, but it wasn't detectable exactly. And I have to do my due diligence to really interpret it in my own way, to have my own solid ground that I can stand on. But he was full of beautiful energy. He was so full of beautiful energy. That space with the hands where the bodies are growing back, connected to the hands, and is part of the passion, and is part of the goodwill and the spirit of helpfulness, and bringing in those souls who actually wanted to heal but didn't know how to, and some of them just didn't want anything to do with it, and it was okay. If you watch number 1, you'll know what I'm talking about. But that energy came through that crystal that was in his chest, and then it was put into my hands. And then he was showing me how that crystal became part of my hands, and that his helping hands were a part of my helping hands, or a part of all of our helping hands. And it's the spirit of the helping hands. And I thought that was just so cool. You can't deny that's a really good feeling. Just all of that is just such a good vibe. And if I can be tapping into this energy right now, if you could be watching this video right now, whatever now is, if it's, I don't know, June of 2023 or some other time in the future, tapping into this message is a sign of some kind. Is a sign of bright energy, helpful energy, wishes, prayers being heard, prayers being answered, the helpful people getting the information they need to actually be successful in their passion to help. It's a sign. It's a sign that the energies are shifting into something of the helpfulness is coming through. And we can't give up on that. So I told myself, I got to get home and I got to make a number 2 message about the number 1 message to give you guys an update on all of this. And ask myself if I would just see if the universe would like to guide me in sharing more healing, because it just feels so gosh darn good, you know. It feels so good to feel like you're making a difference, you know. And I feel like I'm making a difference when I do this, and it makes me come to life and who I am, because a helpful person that can help is like super bright and super happy. A helpful person that feels like they're up against a wall and they just can't move through it, they feel bewildered. They feel confused. They feel like, how come I'm a helpful person and it's like I'm not allowed to help? And it's a conflict. And I've learned in my life that if you're a helpful person, you're not allowed to help. It's because you're just allowed to be. That's part of the flow. You're allowed to be a component of the best that you can be. And sometimes the work is in someone else's hands at this time, and it's okay. And just to support them with love and positive energy, to work through their own side of the story, whether that's an individual person or a whole group of people, a whole part of a big movement. And we like to see this, maybe the discrepancies of that movement, find a little bit of the enlightenment inside to come through the woodwork or come through the surface, so there could be a positive self-realization and a growth in a healthier way. There's a lot of us who are perceptive. There's a lot of us who notice that we sometimes just don't know what to do. I know what I can do at this time, and it's to do this. So I decided to tell you guys this update. I'm gonna just take a moment. I feel so happy right now. I just feel so bright in my heart. Yeah, I'm just gonna relax, and I'm gonna tap into the energies and ask if there's anything more to this message that is useful to the viewer, useful to this goal to help. Or if this is the most helpful next message that I can share. Okay. I'm walking back into that room, the one that's larger with the same shaped table, and I'm looking at all the people sitting down, all the strange faces. And what it is about them is not really what they look like, but the light that they emit. And I see us all standing around the table now. We're standing up, standing around the table, and this man is there too, with the French accent, who also looked quite strange. If he didn't look human, he looked quite strange. And so we all hold hands, And we start to share a kind of harmony from our hearts. It comes from our throat, but it comes from our hearts. We actually start to sway back and forth. It's very kumbaya-like, okay? But it's so much more beautiful than that. It literally is, if the sun could sing a song, and if it could come from our hearts, it might sound like this. And it's just like this beautiful music, and it's like a resurrection sensation. It's almost like coming out of the ground from being buried alive for a very long time, and now seeing the sun after years and years and years and years of forgetting the sun even existed. And how would you feel in that moment? You'd probably cry, you'd probably fall to your knees, you'd probably say, what is this? What is this? Oh my God, where was I for so long, and now where am I? And this is so beautiful. It would make you feel a million things all at the same time. And that's what we're expressing right now in this space together with all of us. Because if you're watching this, you're a part of this too, right? And those who are never going to find this video, they're those that are here too. Because whether we consciously know or we don't know, we're a part of everything. It's just such a beautiful energy. It's all about the spirit of the heart and the spirit of sunshine and the spirit of community and family. We're all soulmates, you know. It's not just one soulmate. We're all soulmates. We're all soulmates. And that's the truth. We're all interdimensional soulmates too. Because there's beings that live in every version of a window that can look in or can't see what's beyond this window. There's someone now looking in that room too. So there's always people. There's always consciousness, you know. And we're all part of each other. It's so cool. I used to feel that took away my individuality. When I started to become aware that I was a part of everybody, I didn't want to be a part of everybody. I just wanted to be me. Because if I wasn't me anymore and I was them, I was everybody, then what made me truly special or truly an individual at that time, which was something like 15 years ago, I got really angry. I was open and honest with the universe about how it made me feel, because it's one of those awakening moments. Awakening moments are sometimes quite joyful and blissful, but other times there's friction because you're deeply tuning into ego, deeply tuning into your relationship with fear, your relationship with divine truth, and there is a friction that takes place. And all you can do is be true to yourself, even if it is angry, even if it is confused, even if it understands and wants to understand better, but I still feel the friction of this. That is all you can ever be, is honest. And I worked through it, and now I just so understand it that I'm okay. I'm like totally okay with the truth that we are all a unique and special part of an incredible disco ball that needs every individual side to make it truly what it is. And that's where the uniqueness comes in, but that's where the totality comes in. And we're part of something special. We're part of something that emits light and inspires dancing and music. We're all part of that, you know. And the energy of this room is like this. My guides asked me if I could visit one of these beings that I'm holding hands with. And instantly I go to one that reminds me of the Wizard of Oz, like the lion, okay? He stands upright and he looks like a lion, and he carries like a tannish yellow color to his like body. And he also he's like the lion that got his hair done, and he has these like ringlets. It seems kind of ridiculous, but yes, he has these like ringlets of hair in his mane, and he's smiling at me. And I say, why you though? Why you? And so simultaneously, we are holding hands in this musical event, but we're also in a space where we are just talking to each other individually. So both are happening all the while I'm sitting here talking to you in this video. So do you see how everything is happening all the time interdimensionally? You see how that works? So now I'm just in this individual space, also at the same time talking to this lion man. When I ask him, why you? Instantly, I experience us just hug. Like it's been a very long time since we've seen each other, talked to each other. But I don't remember, nothing comes to me in my memory or in my heart of familiarity about this lion man, which is okay. He seems to remember me though. So we're just in a big hug right now. And that's all that is existing right now, is this big hug. And something inside me silently asks, can you be a doorway that I could move through that door to understand a memory about you? And suddenly something unexpected happens, and I turn around. This is part of his own doorway. And there's a strange sort of creature-like person, and the scene is more like a dungeon, and it has very specific bricks. They're like regular old bricks, you know, they're red and they stack in that way. These are about half the size, and they're green, and they stack in the same way. So it's like twice as many bricks to cover the same amount of space. And I see the bricks on the right and left sides, and then there's the wall, and there's this creature-like being that is kind of chained down in an unusual dungeon. This has very long nails, very dirty, very skinny. And I'm to identify it as an aspect of myself. And I see that through the gift of punishment, through the gift of imprisonment, through the gift of this, then one learns patience. One learns patience through pain. One learns patience. Do you know what I'm talking about? Have you ever been through a very long time and it wasn't very comfortable? But one thing it taught you is that no matter what you say and no matter what you do, you will not be the solution. All you can do is endure. And through enduring and accepting, that you will then blossom into a being of patience. And that the patience is the mastery. And that what your lesson isn't about fixing things. It's about learning the mastery of patience. So that's this representation here. But I say, when I look at her, I actually look at her as the lion man. But I also feel as though I'm myself speaking to her. And there's this strange feeling like I cannot set you free. But the lion man says we can set her free. And he cuts this chain. And she turns into a very strange combination between a butterfly and a bat. But the challenge for her now is to realize that she has learned the mastery of patience, and now she is free to go. But because of the pain and how long it took, in a way she's become the walls. She's become the ground, that she's become the stillness that remains. And she must now learn how to let go of the teacher, let go of the space. Because it's become her mother and father, or it's become her love, her version of love. The pain has become the love because she learned the mastery of patience, which is the love that was born here. But you see how we get attached to things? See how we get attached to pain? That teaches us to be profound, but then we don't know how to let go of the pain, even when we're given the freedom to leave it. So the lion then shows me this. So then, in the lion who then gave me the courage to set myself free, I move my consciousness into her. And she's struggling to let go. She's struggling to let go. And just a moment here, because there's more, basically shapes start to appear, and then in those shapes there is communication, and there's other spaces, and there's other times. So I need just a moment to collect the communication here. That's what the fountain was. That was what the connection with Mother Earth was. And I see many coins in here that are golden, and I see that other souls that have had prayers for me, so to speak. Don't forget that we parallel each other. This means that there are souls that have prayers for you, and that they're waiting for their prayers to be answered for you to be set free, or for you to set yourself free, or for you to remember, for you to awaken, for you to understand your profoundness, for you too, okay? So if this is happening for me, this is happening for you, because we're all a part of each other. This is a sign of some kind. This is really good, okay? It's really good material here. And I'm shown that I touched some of these golden coins, and it's I place them in my heart, and I'm crying here. And I come back to the Lion Man with the many prayers in my heart. And then I go through the Lion Man to the butterfly bat version of me. And I bring the prayers into her heart. And suddenly all the bricks disappear. And suddenly she transitions into another dimensional space. And she's very, 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 very old. And she has extremely wise eyes that are made out of like crystal blue water. It's like you look into the spheres of her eyes, like you see those gemstones, and it's like infinite water. And I see she has very long white hair, and she's wearing a white dress, and she has very old eyes, very old face. And she carries something of like a pitcher and a very shallow bowl, and it's made out of gold. And she pours water into this bowl, and then she hands it to me that is also still inside this lion. That I leave the lion and I go to face her, and I drink actually from this bowl. I just lift it up and I drink the water. And then the water fills up the cup of my body, she says. And she hands the bowl to you and welcomes you to fill up the cup of your body. We'll fill up the cup of your spirit. We'll fill up the cup of your life. We'll fill you. We'll fill you. And I return to the lion that I'm hugging, and I see that we were sort of in the center, sort of levitating above the table. And then we return to ourselves, and we're still like holding hands and swaying back and forth and sharing the music of the sun is really what it reminds me of, the music of the sun. And this whole space disappears, and then I return to myself, looking at this Frenchman, looking into my eyes, smiling at me. And he wants me to tell you that when I got pulled into this journey, sitting in the car where Joe's doing his journey, that I had told him that I couldn't remember who he was, but something inside of me said he was a part of somebody, all right? And so he wants me to tell you that he is a part of somebody. And that's what I called him. And what that means to me is this. In my life, I've been visited by some beautiful energy that I've never been able to name. I don't know what its name. It names. And I usually just give people just whatever they remind me of. Let's say they remind me of the red apple. I'll call them a red apple person or something. That's how names work for me. I don't get some majestic, cool name like, dang, how'd you even come up with that crazy name? That's so cool. That's just how I function. So he is a part of somebody. And over my life, I've had a visit from a very specific energetic body. And that very, very beautiful energy would just come and just be present. And sometimes when I was really sad, it would just start to appear, and I wouldn't feel the despair. Like sometimes I don't know where to put my sadness, because I know I can put it in the planet. I know I can put it in the sun, and I know I can put it in my higher self or whatever. I just don't want to, you know? I want to actually heal this completely, not by separating myself from it, by actually feeling it, enduring it, being a part of the existence of its existence, okay? So sadness as a person, as a part of me. I am not rejecting me. I'm not rejecting my sadness. I'm not making it go away. I want to truly heal. And somebody would come. That's what I would name that energy, somebody. I named that energy, its name is somebody, okay? Because I didn't know what it was, so I would always whisper, somebody is here. Somebody is here. And when I continued to look into his eyes, he reminded me of somebody. The name is somebody. And I told him that he's a part of somebody, because I don't know that he represents all that is somebody, or a part of that is somebody, you know? And that energy is profoundly beautiful. And it makes sense why the helping hands. It makes sense why that connection with kindness and passion, and the passion to do good things is the spirit of birthing, a spirit of creativity. Like when I do this video, I am birthing something into our world. I'm birthing a message that is going to impact people however it will impact them. And so I am birthing something. So let's say you're an architect, you're birthing that structure into this world so that we can value your imagination, we can value the energy, we can value that. So if you're building houses, I'd mentioned it in number 1 that you ever drive through a neighborhood and all the houses are the same. It's like birthing birthing the duplicate, birthing the echo, like the echo of the same thing. And something feels like lack in that to me, but it is what it is, right? But that's why I feel it's important that we really tune into our individuality and the colors that we are and really share that. I'm going to tell you one more thing because this was really cool. This month of June, I did 2 live streams on Patreon exploring characters from The Hobbit. And one of the characters I chose was Thorin Oakenshield, and I feel like this character represents leadership. And I thought, you know, what an interesting character to connect with and to explore leadership with. What surprised me about him was the word leadership did not exist to him. He showed me himself on a golden throne. That the golden throne wasn't about wealth, material wealth. It was about the wealth of a balanced mind. And in the mind, he showed me a little white sphere in the depths of his mind. And in that white sphere were his ancestors. And he showed me that when we connect with our ancestors, when we meditate, that we sit on the golden throne. When we keep at a distance the sound that is outside ourselves so we can find what it is that we individually are. And to follow the path of our own heart, our own spirit, and to feel the connection with our ancestors. Then we are truly ourself. Then we are truly wise. Then we are truly a leader. But he didn't call it leadership. He doesn't relate to that word. But he said that what it would be akin to him is when a human being can be their individual self. They are a representation of a leader. Whether there are those that follow them or not, they are a true leader because they are true to their individual self. They are themselves. And he couldn't think of a more meaningful leader than that, whether it calls for people to follow or not. It wasn't to him, a leader does not require followers. A leader is a representation of one who is true to themselves. I felt like that was a powerful message, and it brings me back to how are we tuning into the spirit of who we are? How are we proud to be that persona, and how are we allowing ourselves to be completely that? And if we need to separate from the sound of everybody's opinion and right and wrong and what's misinformation, what's lies, what's the truth, and blah, 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 we're connecting to a lot of randomness. But if we can go find our own golden throne and connect with our own ancestors and find that clarity and be true to ourselves and what we believe is morally right and wrong, and we be true to that, that is powerful. Now you are a leader. So there we go. There's my number 2. Thank you so much for being a part of this message. I hope you found enlightenment. I hope you found healing. I hope you found support in this message. I do offer individual sessions if you're interested in having me do a journey for you to share wisdom and healing to support you in your life. You can book a session at my website at abbeynormalswisdomquest.com. Have a great day, everybody.